Where have you been? Where have you been? Where have you been? So much has happened in the last couple of days. It's all kicking off. There's been a massacre, a lineup massacre, and there have been a few casualties. I hope you've got a strong stomach and you didn't buy tickets to UFC London. Let's catch you up. Biggest news is Ilia Topuria didn't insist that the whole featherweight world continue to revolve around him while he scoots up a division. Don't get me wrong, if you can get me wrong at that pitch, the pitch that only dogs can hear, don't get me wrong, he's still 100% ego, putting all his eggs in Islam's basket, heading to the toughest division in the UFC, not giving himself a comfy little cushion of his featherweight belt to fall back on. And no title fight agreed, as far as we're aware. Featherweight? Lightweight? Nah, that's some heavyweight ego, and you've got to respect him for it. For not holding up his old division while he fannies about trying to take on a guy who's been talking about going to 185. But that's a whole other thing. But Islam is a big lightweight. So yeah, Ilia's going up to lightweight. The featherweight division will toddle on, with Volk trying to pull off an Aldo, coming off a loss or two to reclaim his belt against the ever-game Lopes. Now, I don't know about you, I'm praying Ilia doesn't get that title fight immediately, because Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan or Ilia Topuria versus Charlie Oliveira, delicious. Before I move on, what about the other Topuria? What about Alex? They both struggle to make weight. Is he gonna move up now as well, or is he gonna get himself a little bit more well known in the weight class that he has so far had some success in? The Volk Lopes fight will take place at UFC 314 in April. And these Miami cards, baby. Let me tell you, before we get to see everyone's busy mate Volkanovski, we get a little trip back to 2019 with Patricio Pitbull and Michael Chandler on the same card. Unfortunately, not a rematch. Pitbull will be taking on Yair Rodriguez, and Michael Chandler will be doing the only smart thing that Michael Chandler can really do right now, and that's chase cash and clout rather than championship status against Paddy Pimblett. I'm excited to have Patricio in the UFC. I'm not sure he's going to do great, but after all the drama with Bellator, I wasn't ready for him to just disappear that quickly, so we'll see what happens. I could talk for a long time about the 314 lineup, and I will, closer to the time. But we've still got 313 to talk about. I feel like it's been slightly overshadowed now. But I will say this, it is stacked 314, not 313. Neil versus Prates. Jim Miller will be beating up a child. We'll get the violence guaranteed with Darren Elkin. And Dan Ige will be... It'd be like one of them cartoons where Woodson's unnaturally long arms are just holding him away, and he's gonna have to try and get on the inside. Before I wrap this up, another big change up was Belal stomping his feet, demanding to steal Leon's opponent like he stole his belt and stole any kind of pizzazz there was on the UFC London card, leaving Leon with just some Sean Brady scraps. So Belal versus JDM will happen at 315, not Belal versus Shavkat due to injury. I like JDM, but we have seen him struggle against wrestlers, and he was losing to Burns until he wasn't. So I'm not inspired by this one, but when am I ever? When Belal Muhammad's involved. Plus, in the co-main, the UFC have finally decided to do the right thing and put on Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot instead of the champ versus champ fight that we all wanted to see. So we'll see how 315 continues to evolve, but so far. Another interesting announcement happened this week is that Corey Sandhagen still isn't getting a title shot. He's going to fight Figgy, which suggests to me that we'll be seeing the Sugar Show back trying to reclaim his title. I'll give you a moment to process all that if you want to let me know what you think in the comments. There's a lot there to be curious about, to be excited about, but there are also a few disappointments. Topuria's only been champ for a year, so there are other exciting matchups in featherweight that I would have liked to have seen. You know, Movesar, it was a timing thing more than an UFC dissing him thing. But still, I think stylistically that would have been an interesting matchup. Shavkat injury is obviously a disappointment to everyone. The London card getting a bit more shit. And of course there's Max.